I never thought the day would come when my own daughter would look me in the eyes and give me an ultimatum. But when it finally happened, I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't defend myself. I simply said 5 words, and everything changed. My name is Richard Collins. I'm 62 years old. For most of my life, people described me the same way: quiet, reliable, difficult to provoke. I spent 35 years as an accountant. Numbers made sense to me. People often didn't. My wife passed away 8 years ago. Since then, my world became smaller. A modest house, a morning coffee on the porch, a vegetable garden in the backyard, and my daughter, Emily. She was my only child, the person I trusted most, or at least, I thought she was. The first signs appeared so slowly that I almost ignored them. Emily married a man named Jason. At first, he seemed charming, confident, polite, the kind of man who knew exactly what to say. But over time, something felt off. Small comments, subtle disrespect, tiny moments that didn't seem important until you put them together, like pieces of a puzzle nobody wanted to see. One rainy Sunday afternoon, we gathered for a family dinner, the kind of dinner we used to enjoy. The smell of roast chicken filled the house. Rain tapped softly against the windows. The television hummed quietly in the background. Everything looked normal, until Jason started talking about money. Again. He always found a way to bring it up. "Richard," he said casually, sipping his wine, "you've got that house all paid off, right?" I nodded. He smiled. "You ever think about helping family while you're still around?" The room went silent. Emily didn't stop him. That bothered me more than the question. I calmly changed the subject, but I noticed something. They exchanged a glance, a look, the kind people share when they've already had a conversation without you. A week later, I discovered exactly what that look meant. Emily invited me to dinner at their house. When I arrived, Jason was waiting with paperwork spread across the dining table, neatly organized, prepared, almost rehearsed. "We've been discussing the future," he said. "We think it makes sense if you transfer the house into Emily's name now." I stared at the papers, then at him, then at my daughter. She wouldn't meet my eyes. My stomach tightened, not because of the request, because of the betrayal hidden inside it. "If the house is going to Emily eventually," Jason continued, "why wait?" I folded the papers, pushed them back, and quietly said no. The atmosphere changed instantly. The politeness disappeared. The masks slipped. For the next few months, phone calls became shorter. Invitations stopped. Messages went unanswered. The distance wasn't accidental. It was punishment. If you're following this story, you already know where this is going. But trust me, I didn't know how far it would go. Then came the birthday party, the moment everything exploded. My granddaughter was turning 10. The entire family was there. Laughter filled the backyard. Children ran through sprinklers. Music played softly from outdoor speakers. I was standing near the grill when Jason approached. His smile looked different, predatory, calculated. "Everyone should know," he announced loudly, "that Richard refuses to help his own family." Conversation stopped. Heads turned. I felt dozens of eyes on me. Jason continued. He'd rather sit on his money than support his daughter and granddaughter. The accusation hung in the air, heavy, ugly, false. I expected Emily to step in, to defend me, to tell the truth. Instead, she walked beside her husband and took his side. Then she said the sentence I'll never forget. "Apologize to my husband, or you're out of this family, Dad." Silence. Complete silence. Even the children stopped playing. For a moment, I simply looked at her, the little girl I'd carried on my shoulders, the teenager I'd comforted after heartbreak, the woman I had trusted more than anyone, standing there, demanding my surrender. I felt something break, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a rope finally snapping after years of strain. And then I said 5 words. "Do what you think best." That's all. No speech, no anger, no threats. I picked up my coat and left. The next morning, I began making phone calls, quiet phone calls, professional phone calls, the kind people never notice until consequences arrive. I met with an attorney, updated my will, created a trust, documented every financial interaction, every message, every request, every conversation. Then I made another decision, one that changed everything. For years, I had invested in a small family business. Most people didn't know, including Jason. What he also didn't know was that his company depended heavily on contracts connected to that business network, not because of me, because of reputation, relationships, trust, things money can't buy. Over the following months, information began surfacing. Clients learned about Jason's behavior. Business partners started asking questions, not because I attacked him, because people talk. Truth travels, especially when arrogance leaves footprints everywhere. Contracts weren't renewed. Opportunities disappeared. Investors became cautious. Nothing dramatic, nothing illegal. Just consequences, real-world consequences, the kind that arrive quietly, one decision at a time. Meanwhile, Emily discovered the trust documents. She learned that the house was no longer part of any future inheritance plan, neither was a significant portion of my estate. Most of it was designated elsewhere: scholarships, charities, my granddaughter's education fund, protected from outside influence. The phone rang for the first time in months. It was Emily. She was crying, not angry, not demanding, just crying. "Dad, can we talk?" We met at a small cafe near the river, a place her mother used to love. The autumn wind carried leaves across the sidewalk. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then she finally whispered, "I didn't see what was happening." I believed her, partially, because manipulation is real, but so is responsibility. And adults eventually become accountable for the choices they make. "I never wanted your money," she said. I looked at her carefully. "Then why did you stay silent?" That question seemed harder for her to answer, because sometimes the deepest betrayals aren't actions, they're absences, the moments when someone should have stood beside you and didn't. Months passed before our relationship slowly began healing, slowly, carefully, with boundaries. Trust, once broken, doesn't return. Because someone says sorry, it returns through actions, consistency, time. Jason eventually disappeared from the picture, not because I forced him out, because consequences eventually corner people who mistake manipulation for strength. Today, my daughter and I still have dinner together. Not every week, not like before. Some scars remain, but we speak honestly now, maybe for the first time in years. And I've learned something important. Silence isn't weakness. Patience isn't surrender. And boundaries aren't cruelty. Sometimes the strongest response isn't winning an argument. It's allowing people to experience the results of their own choices. If this story stayed with you, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Have you ever been forced to choose between peace and self-respect? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoy stories about family, betrayal, justice, and second chances, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this, because in the end, truth rarely arrives with noise. It arrives quietly, patiently, and when it finally appears, it speaks for itself.